Imagine this: a group of unruly thugs, loud and fearless, mocking one of the most disciplined and stoic figures in the world, the royal guard. It's a scene you wouldn't expect, yet here they are, taunting him, testing his patience. But what happens next? You'll be shocked. The royal guard, known for their unshakable composure and strict code of conduct, responds in a way that no one could have predicted. As the gang's taunts grow bolder, the tension builds, and the crowd gathers in anticipation. What will this seemingly quiet figure do? Will he break under the pressure, or will his honor and strength shine through? The answer will leave you speechless. Stay with us as we uncover the royal guard's heroic response, a moment of bravery that no one could have seen coming. You won't believe what happens next. The royal guard, a symbol of tradition and discipline, has always stood as a pillar of respect and authority. These men and women are trained to remain motionless for hours, to endure extreme conditions, and to never falter in the face of provocation. But today, something feels different. The gang, seemingly emboldened by the growing crowd, begins pushing the boundaries. Their jeers grow louder, their gestures more insulting, trying to get a reaction. Each taunt aimed at the guard's impeccable uniform, each laugh at their silence, feels like an attack on everything the guard represents. And yet, the soldier stands still, unwavering. It's almost as if he's a statue, silent, stoic, and unyielding. But behind that stillness, there's more. What's running through his mind? What's at stake in this moment? As the crowd's energy heightens, the tension between respect and defiance is palpable. The next move will change everything. The gang's mocking intensifies, and the crowd starts to get restless. Some are watching out of curiosity, others out of excitement, waiting for the inevitable spark that will set the scene ablaze. Among them, a few wonder why the royal guard hasn't reacted. Isn't there a limit to how much a person can take? But for others, the scene is a reminder of what the guard represents, an unwavering presence of strength, duty, and honor, no matter the cost. Still, the pressure is mounting. One of the gang members, a young man with a smirk on his face, steps forward and shoves the guard's shoulder. The tension surges. A few gasps ripple through the onlookers. Will the guard react now? His face remains stoic, but the air around him seems to crackle with an intensity that's hard to ignore. The young man circles him, taunting him further, pushing the line between respect and disrespect. It's almost like a game to the gang. How far can they go before the soldier breaks? But there's more at play here. One person in the crowd, a woman in the back, watches with a look of concern. She knows something about the royal guard, something the others don't. She remembers a time when that very same guard saved a life, when his actions inspired an entire nation. Yet now, faced with the mockery of a small gang, she wonders, will he still hold the line, or is this the breaking point? It's a question that weighs heavy on her, and the deeper the taunts grow, the more unsure she becomes. Could this be the day everything changes? The gang members' taunts grow even more vicious. With each word, the crowd's anticipation builds, like a coiled spring ready to snap. The young man is circling faster now, his voice laced with mockery. "What's wrong, guard? Too scared to move, too scared to do your job." His words cut through the air, testing the limits of what the soldier can endure. The others egg him on, laughing, shouting, daring the royal guard to respond. But the guard remains unmoved. His eyes are fixed straight ahead, unblinking, his posture rigid. It's a test of will, a silent battle of endurance. Yet, a flicker of doubt crosses the mind of the woman in the crowd. She knows the guard's code. His training is impeccable. But what if this is different? What if this time, in front of this unruly crowd, he feels the weight of it all? She feels her heart race as she watches him, hoping that this man, who has faced so many dangers, can hold onto his calm. The young gang member grows impatient. He steps closer, getting in the guard's face, shouting insults just inches from him. The crowd holds its breath. There's an electric charge in the air now. Everyone is waiting for the inevitable. Will the guard finally snap? Or will he stay true to his training, holding the line no matter the cost? The tension is unbearable, every second stretching longer than the last. The woman watches with bated breath, her eyes locked on the soldier. The question lingers in her mind: how far will he go? The moment is building to something monumental, something that will change everything for this soldier, for the gang, and for everyone watching. It's coming fast, but what will it be? Just as the crowd edges closer, holding their collective breath, a sudden shout breaks through the tension. It's not from the gang or the guard, but from the back of the crowd. A new figure has emerged, and the entire atmosphere shifts in an instant. The woman at the back, still watching nervously, turns toward the commotion. There, through the sea of faces, a man steps forward, tall, commanding, with an air of authority that cuts through the chaos. The crowd parts instinctively. His presence commands respect, but there's something unsettling about the way he moves, like a shadow trailing behind him. The gang, sensing a new threat, suddenly stops. The young man who'd been taunting the guard freezes, his eyes widening as the newcomer approaches. The tension shifts. Now, it's no longer just about the guard. The stakes have just been raised. The newcomer's eyes lock onto the guard for a brief moment, and then he addresses the gang, his voice low and steady, but with a sharp edge. You've gone too far. It's a warning, not an order, yet there's an undeniable authority in it that makes everyone pause. The gang hesitates, unsure whether to press on or back off. But something about this man, something in the way he holds himself, tells them this is no ordinary bystander. And suddenly, the situation feels even more dangerous than before. The woman in the crowd feels her pulse quicken. There's a history here, something familiar about this man, but she can't quite place it. The atmosphere shifts once again. The guard stands still, unmoved, yet his hand twitches slightly, just enough for the keen-eyed observer to notice. What's happening now? Is this new figure an ally or a threat? And what does he want with the gang? As the crowd shifts nervously, the silence that follows feels heavy, pregnant with possibilities. This new development could change everything. The game has just evolved, and no one knows where it will go next. The newcomer steps forward, his presence filling the space between the guard and the gang. The tension is at its peak. Everyone knows something is about to give. The gang is caught off guard, no longer sure of themselves. The young man who had been provoking the guard lowers his head, clearly trying to size up this new threat. For a moment, it seems like the situation could go either way. The guard stands motionless, his posture still perfect, his eyes locked on the newcomer. It's as if the whole world is holding its breath. Then the unexpected happens. The newcomer turns to the guard, his face unreadable, and offers a brief, almost imperceptible nod. It's a signal. Without a word, the royal guard finally moves, slowly, deliberately, his stiff posture giving way to a fluid, graceful step forward. It was never about the gang. The entire scene was a test, a challenge designed to measure the guard's resolve in the face of humiliation. And as the crowd disperses, no one will ever know the true story of the royal guard's silence. But one thing is certain, the guard passed. And the lesson learned that day, about discipline, control, and honor, will never be forgotten. As the gang disappears into the distance, the crowd slowly starts to disperse, whispers of awe and disbelief still hanging in the air. The royal guard, having endured the mockery with unwavering poise, now steps back into his place, silent once more. The woman in the crowd, finally understanding the depth of what she witnessed, feels a mix of relief and respect. What she saw wasn't just a soldier's patience, it was the embodiment of an unspoken code, a silent strength that few could ever understand. The officer, now standing beside the guard, gives him a final nod before walking away, blending back into the shadows. No one will ever fully grasp the magnitude of that moment, or the silent test the guard faced. But what they will remember is the undeniable truth. True strength lies not in the power to act, but in the courage to stand firm, and that perhaps is the greatest lesson of all.